Ah, so you want to play Wilson, do you? Well, before you get in, there's a lot more nuance to this quote-unquote default character, and in today's video, the start of a 24-character miniseries, you're going to learn everything you could possibly need to know about Wilson. From Don't Starve to Don't Starve Together, strengths and weaknesses, everything. This is sort of a continuation of my recent Strength and Weaknesses video, and was spearheaded by this comment right here. I just decided why not turn the idea into full character guides as well. So, enough yapping, let's talk about Wilson. Wilson Percival Higsbury, the intermittent shadow ruler, has 150 health, 150 hunger, and 200 sanity. This amount will become the baseline for all other characters ahead. He also has a damage multiplier of 1x, which means he will do normal damage to all entities. Before we get into how he's played in Don't Starve Together, let's head over to Don't Starve to see how he works in the OG version of the game. In Don't Starve, Wilson is one of the few characters unlocked from the start of the game, the others being unlocked via EXP that you earn by surviving and escaping by, any means, or special challenges. Within Don't Starve, Wilson is actually more of a proper default character, which means this segment will be far shorter than future characters. But he does have one thing going for him, his magnificent beard, which is both an upside and a downside. After 4 days of being beardless, Wilson will grow a short beard, which provides him with a cold insulation value of 15. In 8 days, Wilson will grow a medium beard, providing 45 insulation. And in 16 days, Wilson will grow his full magnificent beard, gaining a whopping 135 insulation. A full beard Wilson with a beefalo hat will take multiple days to start freezing in my experience. That's pretty strong, especially because it doesn't take an armor or head slot. Beard also has the benefit of being the only passive source of beard hair in the game, with a short beard providing 1 hair, a medium beard providing 3 hair, and the longest beard providing a whopping 9 hairs. This is very important in Don't Starve single player, because remember, the OG game is permadeath. You don't turn into a ghost, or have any chances to roll back. Once you die, your save file is deleted, much like hardcore Minecraft, except even there you can cheat your way out of it. Here you can't, so having easy access to beard hair means you can very easily craft up a meat effigy. Just be careful not to craft up too many. They have an effect called Resurrection Sickness in Don't Starve single player, and that will sap your maximum health for every one until you inevitably do use it. Oh yeah, and shaving gives you 10 sanity, which is nice, but it's hardly noticeable. The downside of this beard becomes apparent if you have the Reign of Giants DLC or Shipwreck DLC installed, particularly summer and dry season. Insulation works 2 ways when it comes to Wilson's beard, which is funny because for most other body and head slot items, this is actually false. But Wilson's beard here, it just wants to make sure you have a good and bad time. Thankfully, all you will need is a razor to stay clean shaven during those 2 seasons in particular, and you'll be alright. In every other season, you can go full beard and not suffer at all, but winter is the only cold season, so yeah, there's that, I guess. Before we move on to Don't Starve Together, there is a little extra trivia about his beard in Don't Starve that I don't consider upside or downsides, so let's talk about them now. When shaving your beard, you will shave all of it off, regardless of how long it is. A stark contrast from Don't Starve Together, as you'll see soon. Wilson's beard is also lost if he is resurrected or enters adventure mode, but he'll get it back when he comes back through adventure mode. There are a few things he can go through and keep his beard, however. The Seaworthy and Skyworthy will let him keep his beard when transferring between DLC worlds, but eventually it will break visually and cause you to look eternally baby-faced. Don't worry though, there's a beard still there. Wilson's just so good at science he found a way to hide it. And Wilson also keeps his beard when world hopping via the Teleportado, in both adventure mode and survival mode. This only really matters in adventure mode since you can get King of Winter and the beard helps out there quite a bit. And that's it for Wilson in Don't Starve. I'm sure you guys can see why I added Don't Starve Together to this now. In this version of the game, I would still rate him an 8 out of 10. Why so high for such a boring character? Well, you'll see in future character segments that being default in Don't Starve single player is actually a buff. Some of the future characters who may be beast in Together used to actually have some massive downsides before they were outright removed. Plus, it's the OG Wilson. Come on, he gets bonus points for that. I really do wish I could say more about the OG Wilson, but I really can't, because in this version of the game, he truly is default. Anyways, let's move on to Don't Starve Together. Don't Starve Together Wilson. He sports the same 150 health, 150 hunger, and 200 sanity, and the ability to grow a beard at the same rate with the same insulation values. But that's where the baseline similarities end, as Don't Starve Together Wilson is also given a favorite food, that being bacon and eggs, which will provide him 15 more hunger. How? I don't know, must be magic or something. He also gets access to a skill tree, which we're going to go over in depth right now before we go over his strengths, weaknesses, and tips and tricks to survive as him. First, let's look at my favorite side of the skill tree, the torch tree. Torch Longevity 1 increases your burn time by a meager 15 seconds, bringing the lifespan up to 1 minute and 30 seconds, 90 seconds in total. Longevity 2 adds 20 seconds to the decay timer, and Longevity 3 adds around 30 whole seconds, meaning this perk has increasing returns, but it's hardly worth it, as you only get an extra minute and 15 seconds of active torch time for the cost of 3 whole points. I would still take the first one if, you're doing a scienceless ruins rush or something. I don't know. Alright, moving on, let's look at the other side. Torch Range 1, Torch Range 2, and Torch Range 3. This is pretty self-explanatory, and you can see the differences on screen right now. Yeah, it's just not worth it. But you know what is worth it? Torch Toss. The best Wilson skill, and there's no sarcasm in my voice at all. This perk allows you to, get this. Yes, it's peak. Absolute best S tier perk. Wonderful. Alright, yeah, it's not the best, but it does have its niche uses. Thrown torches can't be moved like a drop lantern in certain boss fights, and can provide a substantial amount of light if Torch Range 3 was procured. Unfortunately, you do need to take 3 whole torch skills to have the ability to take this one, meaning it technically costs you 4 of your 15 points. If you absolutely must have torch tossing for whatever reason, I would suggest taking Torch Longevity 1 and 2 range perks, because that would give you the biggest bang for your buck, as to say. I would rank this entire tree, well, honestly, D tier. Yeah, it's unique, but it's outshined entirely when you get a lantern, which can be done on day 1 if you know what you're doing. But come on, it's still so fun throwing torches around like a madman, so it's not getting F tier, even though it realistically is F tier. Come on guys, let me have this one. Now we can move on to Wilson's actual strongest skill tree, Alchemy. The Alchemy tree comes with 1 essential perk and 3 branches. The first perk that's required to go anywhere within the tree is called Transmutation, and it allows you to transmute 3 twigs into 1 log, or 1 log into 2 twigs. Ironically, this may be my favorite alchemy skill altogether. If you get a twiggy tree world, don't even sweat it, just pile up logs and you'll be swimming in twigs. The twigs to a log isn't as worth it though, but it used to be the goat of nothing worlds before Clay unrightfully made Jimbo a world setting. Why, Clay? Nothing worlds were so close to being great. Whatever, let's take a look at these branches. Starting with the ore branch. Transmute Ore 1 allows you to convert 3 rocks into 1 flint and 2 flint into 1 rock. It's as self-explanatory as it is boring, but it could be useful in a world that's been picked clean of flint, like say, I don't know, an over 10 player multiplayer server. Next we have Transmute Ore 2, which allows you to convert 3 niter into 1 gold, or 2 gold into 1 niter. This one is very situational. I can't really ever see the niter into gold being useful simply because it's just too much niter for something you can get by feeding an egg to the Pig King, but gold to niter could be useful if you have, say, a Winona on your team or something. Still, it's a pretty mediocre perk, but it's all made worth it with the next perk. Transmute Ore 3. This one gives you 3 recipes. 2 cut stone to 1 marble, 1 marble to 1 cut stone, and 2 marbles to 1 moon rock. This perk is actually very useful, but also situational. If you don't kite bosses, or can't kite bosses, marble suits are one of the best armors for tanking, since while they slow you down, they also give you an insane damage reduction and have very good item health. The problem is, marble is slow to farm, and this lets you turn 6 stones into 1 marble. That's not really bad, as stones are something that generally end up filling your chests later down the line anyway, so yeah, if you're a tanker, this perk is very, very good. The other 2 recipes I would honestly ignore. Moon rocks can be farmed infinitely via meteors, and cut stone is better off being used to make marble, so yeah. Now let's look at the middle branch of this amazing tree, and this is arguably Wilson's strongest branch of his entire skill tree, Transmute Gems. Level 1 gives you the ability to transmute 2 red gems into 1 blue gem, and vice versa. It also gives you the ability to merge a red and blue gem to make a purple gem without the need of a magic station. This one's pretty boring, and the uses are limited, so we'll just keep it at that. It's really nothing to talk about. Level 2 of this perk, however, gives you the ability to transmute 3 purples into an orange gem, and 3 oranges into a yellow. Again, the use cases of this are very limited, and honestly this perk would have been so much better in single player because you could farm ridiculous amounts of purple gems from the ends well, but oh well. The real reason why people praise this tree is level 3. Transmute Gems 3 gives you the ability to turn 3 yellow gems into a green gem. Now, is 1 construction amulet or half a deconstruction staff really worth 1.5 star collar staffs? Well, if you have a willow on your team, then yes, but the best craft this gives you is 1 of every gem type for 1 iridescent gem. The iridescent gems uses are limited as there is only 2, but those 2 uses are very powerful. One of them is to make the Lunar Grimoire book for Wickerbottom. If you have one on your team, this essentially means nighttime can be turned off, which is pretty crazy in its own right. But the more generalized use is to activate the Lunar Archives while skipping that pesky Mooncaller event. No worrying about failing it or missing it, just craft up the gem whenever you please. It's a skill that won't remain useful after you've used it, but it's invaluable if you wish to skip one of the most annoying events in the game that everybody inevitably just cheeses or bunker strats. Now we can move on to the final branch of this tree, and one that's actually pretty criminally underrated, Transmute Icky. Level 1 gives you the ability to turn 3 morsel into a big meat and 1 big meat into 2 morsels. This doesn't seem very worth it, except for the fact that it also refreshes the meats used. 3 morsels into a big meat is a net loss of hunger value, but 1 big meat into 2 morsels grants you basically the same hunger value, while refreshing your stack. Honestly, I would always take this perk if you were playing as Wilson. It's surprisingly good. Level 2 will allow you to turn 2 beard hair into beefalo wool and 2 beefalo wool into beard hair. Why you would want to turn beefalo wool into beard hair as Wilson is beyond me, but beard hair to beefalo wool can give you some benefits primarily if beefalo have gone extinct in your world. Otherwise, you get so much from just shaving them, so I'm having a hard time calling this skill good. It is essential for the next skill though, which has some serious niche use cases. And that, my friends, is level 3 of the Transmute Icky branch. Much like the ore side, this gives you 3 recipes. 6 rot into 1 poop, 2 hound's teeth into bone shards, and 2 bone shards into a hound's tooth. 6 rot into manure can be very useful, but really, only if your world lacks pigmen or beefalo, since they are a way better source. Honestly, I'm not sure why they didn't do the reverse of this recipe, as it would have been so much better. But no. The main perk here is the bones and teeth. Now look, I'll admit myself that this perk is ultimately not that important, but bone shards are somewhat difficult to renew, and this can make your Worley friends very sad. Hound's teeth, on the other hand, well, survive a full year and you'll be swimming in the stuff. Then, by using your Transmute Icky level 3 skill that you spent 4 whole skill points to get, I almost said 3, but it's actually 4, your Worley friend will have all the bone bouillon he could ever okay, yeah, whatever. Level 1 is really the only useful part of this branch. It's really best to just grab level 1 and not even look at the next 2 skills. It's the biggest fall off of the century. As for what I would rate this skill tree, I would honestly say it's a solid A tier skill tree. It's unique to Wilson, and it isn't nullified by any item that you can get on day 1, in particular, and it has some seriously useful perks. By design, it's one of the best, but it is lacking when you start to look at future skill trees, and you guys will see those soon. But yeah, it's not bad. It's just a lit down when you look at the power creep. Anyways, moving on to the second to last tree, the beard tree. Now, this tree is built like the torch tree, so let's just get started. First off, beard insulation. Level 1 gives you what's supposed to be 20% extra insulation from your beard. Level 2 gives you 40%, and level 3 gives you 60%. Now, I'm not just a wiki reader, so I've done some testing personally, and I've found that this equates to some odd timings. The difference is barely noticeable with a tier 1 beard, but that's to be expected. Percentages are, percentages. But with a tier 3 beard and level 3 insulation skill, it allowed me to last a surprisingly long time with just my beard. Should I have tested with a temperature HUD? Maybe, but when I do in-game testing, I like to do it from a vanilla standpoint since not everybody has access to or uses those mods, and I just want to keep things totally vanilla. I don't know, I'm crazy like that. Ooh. The reason why I'm not going that in depth with this though is because I don't think that this skill is worth it regardless, as this skill is one of the only in the game to actually give you a downside as well. Higher insulation will also affect you during summer. This means, while sure, you get 60% more protection from the cold, you also will get 60% less protection from the heat. Thankfully, you can still totally survive fine in the caves, but it's something to note about this skill since all other branches are blanket buffs. Moving on to the beard growth branch. Level 1 has your beard growing short in 3 days, medium in 7 days, and long in 15 days. Level 2 keeps short growth the same, but increases medium to 6 days and long to 12. And finally, Level 3 increases short to 2 days, medium to 5, and long to 10. I would argue this side of the tree is better since it doesn't come with a major downside. Just remember that you'll be shaving a lot more when summer hits. But that also means more sanity, so yeah, it's still a lot better than insulation. And finally, one of Wilson's best quality of life perks, hands down, beard hair storage. As gross as this sounds, it actually can be very handy. You get 1 food slot with a short beard, 2 with a medium beard, and 3 with a long beard. Now this gives you no benefits when it comes to spoilage. All food will still spoil at the same rate within your beard. But there are a few non-spoiling food items that you can store within your beard. The best being jelly beans and tall bird eggs. This can give you a sort of emergency stash for if you get into a dangerous situation and can't make it back home. Otherwise, more slots is more slots. You really can't say no to this perk. The problem is it doesn't unlock until you've spent 3 points in the beard tree, making this perk cost 4 points in total. If you really want this perk, I would suggest taking beard growth and avoiding insulation. Not only will it help you build up your storage faster, but it will not cause you to get nuked by the sun during summer. I would rate this tree a C tier, honestly. It's one of the only trees in the game to come with downsides, even if they aren't purposeful ones, but I cannot put beard storage below or on the same level as a torch tree. It's just way too fun carrying 3 tall bird eggs in my beard all game. Alright, almost through the entire skill tree. But last and certainly not least, we have Wilson's affinity tree. These are meant to be the endgame perks, and you can only pick one or the other. The choice you make will align you to whoever entity you pledge to. In this case, it's either Charlie or Wagstaff. Pledging yourself to Charlie with the Shadow Courier skill gives you 10% extra protection from Shadow aligned mobs, and allows you to deal 10% more damage to Lunar aligned ones. It also unlocks even more transmutation skills. 1 Dreadstone into 2 Pure Horror, 3 Pure Horror into 1 Dreadstone, and finally, 1 Pure Horror into 2 Nightmare Fuels. Now that last recipe absolutely has to be a troll recipe. I don't know who would pick that, or rather, who would use that, but the Pure Horror into Dreadstone could be a decent recipe if you're looking to make Dreadstone pillars or walls or something that's Dreadstone heavy, because it's way easier to farm Pure Horror in mass than it is to farm Dreadstone outcroppings or farm Nightmare Werepig. Before we move over to the lunar side, there is one other interesting thing to note about this perk, but I believe this works with all Shadow aligned characters. Taking this skill lets you see the names of the blights that spawn post-Rift, and it will cause the Shadow Reaper to talk to you in your inventory much like Lucy. This assumes that pledging to Charlie quite literally infuses you with Shadow Essence, or something wacky and cool. This change, though, is merely cosmetic. To unlock this perk, you need to not only spend 12 skill points anywhere else within Wilson's skill tree, also you have to defeat the Ancient Fuel Weaver, and not have the lunar equivalent skill. But what is the lunar equivalent skill? Well, pledge yourself to the Wagstaff Don't Starve himself with the Lunar Innovator skill, and you will get the opposite effect of the shadow buffs when it comes to damage mitigation and extra damage. 10% less damage from lunar enemies, and 10% more damage to shadow aligned enemies. This one also gives you some extra crafts. You can turn 3 infused moon shards into 1 pure brilliance, and 1 pure brilliance into 2 infused moon shards. This can actually be really good. After fighting the Celestial Champion, infused moon shards are dropped, which will spoil into worthless moon glass, but by transmuting them into pure brilliance, you can make them into all sorts of fun lunar equipment. Lunar Hail also becomes very useful as it's going to essentially be raining pure brilliance for you. Ah, god dude, brilliance is such a tongue twister word. To unlock this perk, you must spend 12 points overall in other parts of the Insight tree, much like the Shadow alignment, have defeated the Celestial Champion, and have not taken the Shadow Courier skill. Overall, his affinity skills are a bit mid, but that's good, it's Wilson of course. I would argue that the lunar side is stronger since the materials are easier to farm. I would give this tree a solid B tier. I like it, but again, I know I sound like a broken record. Power creep is a very big problem in this game, and other characters' affinity skills are far better. Like, far better. Woo! That was probably the longest segment. And no, we aren't even done yet. Now we have to go over the base upsides and downsides. Thankfully, or rather unthankfully, Wilson has no true upsides outside of his beard, which hasn't changed really at all, unless you take the skills for it, nor does he have any true downsides outside of his beard, which again, hasn't changed. But Wilson's true downside is that he's a victim of power creep, and has slowly become not only boring, but also just not good when compared to any other characters. A stark contrast to his single-player self, where default is seen as an upside. In Don't Fart Together, default is a downside. There is, however, one major difference with his beard in Don't Starve Together. Instead of shaving it all off with one razor clip, Wilson will actually shave it off one layer at a time. Not only does this allow you to get more beard hair overall, but also more sanity, since each tier shaven will net you 10 sanity each, making a full shave give you 30 whole sanity. That's not really that bad at all. Throw on those faster beard skill growth and you will become a sanity machine. Well, a personal one. You can't bring other people's sanity up like a lot of the other characters, but hey, be selfish sometimes, it's funny. As for my personal tips and tricks, well, for you Wilson mains out there, go out and make some friends. Wilson is a character who absolutely shines when paired with others. Worley and Wickerbottom especially, thanks to his transmutation and the fact that he can hold extra food. Alone, Wilson struggles, as do most characters. But if you can beat the game as Wilson, you can comfortably say to yourself that you can beat the game as any other character. Maybe except Wes. I don't know what his skill tree is going to look like yet, so I guess that in its own self is a tip and or trick right there. That's pretty epic, right? No, but seriously, I don't have a lot for this character, and it sucks because he is my main. I guess I could show you guys my favorite skill tree though, and it's on screen right now. Of course, you can swap around the skills that you like. This is just my personal favorite, and the one I feel is strongest. Anyways, that's everything you need to know about Wilson in Don't Starve and Don't Starve Together. Whew. Honestly, longer than I thought, even if most of it was because of his skill tree, and the fact that I'm absolutely overanalyzing it. Next up, we're gonna do Willow. I'm not sure if I'll make this series weekly, since to make these videos I have to personally master each character. It's not hard per se, but very time consuming, since all of this experience will come from my own playstyle. Anyways, you can be sure that this series will continue all the way until we've covered every single character in the game. Yes, including single player, because I've sort of made a name for myself as the Don't Starve single player guy. Don't worry though, I do have some very fun challenge and lore videos planned up as well. It's not just gonna be this guide back to back, this will just be the main series for a while. Anyways, I will see you guys in the next one. I'm gonna go back to my super secret Wilson playthrough that's totally not gonna be a video soon. Bye bye!